Payday 2 is already a decade-old game. The community has created hundreds, if not thousands of guides, including ones that were designed for newer players. Your question right now might be, why are you making another one of those? That's because this time, we're going to take a look at different things, rather than just how to play stealth, or how to play loud. Today, my job will be to help you deal with your first online lobbies, as well as some simple information that the game does not mention anywhere, but you'll be able to make great use of. First and foremost, Payday can be approached in two ways, stealth and loud. Everyone knows that, but the problem starts when you join an online lobby as a new player and have no idea what your team is playing. What most people do is either asking about it on chat or joining with whatever build they have to quickly realize they made a mistake. So the first thing you want to remember is the fact that while most of the time it's up to you how you want to play, some of the heists are restricted to only one approach. Here's a list of them. If you do happen to stumble across a heist that's not decided from the get-go, that's also not an issue. You can easily tell what build to bring by just looking at some things. Your go-to action right now should be checking what build the host is running. Looking at weapons is a possibility, but your primary focus should be the deployable. Logically speaking, what good would 14 first aid kits do in a game mode where you don't get shot by cops because you can't be spotted in the first place? In the same way, body bags are useless in loud. You don't care whether someone sees the corpses. Here's a list of every deployable grouped into their respective categories. Another important thing is paying attention to the armor they're running. For loud, it can be anything, but for stealth, it can only ever be the two-piece suit. And the last one, the detection risk. For loud, once again, it can be anything, but the most common values are 4, 23, and 75. For stealth, most of the time it's 3, but 4 is also a possibility. There are odd cases where looking at all of the things above is not enough. If it happens, inspect the loader again, but this time of every other player in the lobby instead. If by some miracle it's still impossible to tell whether it's stealth or loud, then either everyone in the lobby is a completely new player, in which case you shouldn't be worried about your build either, or just a group of friends trying out some weird stuff. This is very unlikely though. Most people fall into this trap, but it's about time this mistake stopped repeating itself. I won't waste anyone's time by explaining what Infamy is in this video, since everyone knows about this system. Unfortunately, while everyone knows what it is, almost no one knows what it indicates. Simply put, Infamy has nothing to do with your skill, not even in the slightest. So why does everyone say otherwise? I don't know. To this day, I haven't seen a good explanation. What I can do though, is give you a solid explanation on what I said. First and foremost, the biggest mistake people make is treating Infamy the same way as the elo system used in competitive games. If you take a look at games like CSGO or League of Legends, this makes more sense because people compete between each other in the first place. And while higher elo doesn't always mean you're better, most of the time it does. A silver player stands no chance against a global elite player, but can you say the same about Payday? No way! Having an Infamy 500 player in your team doesn't mean they'll perform better than an Infamy 100 player for a multitude of reasons. Look at how Infamy is earned on its own. You never earn it by playing better than other people. Just playing the game is all you need in order to progress towards the higher number. There are 7 difficulty levels in this game, and Infamy is just one system used for everyone. While your XP towards the level is increased depending on the difficulty you play on, nothing stops you from grinding certain heists on one of the lowest difficulties. Speaking of which, there's an Infamy grinding strategy that uses Diamond Store. All you need is to learn a few steps and just constantly repeat them. And believe me, it is insanely boring. The next important thing to note is that you're never forced to go infamous. Some people, perhaps those with higher hours, can't be bothered to do that. And if we were to follow the logic that Infamy does represent your skill level, that would imply... See, it makes no sense. And lastly, do not forget that there are 2 ways to play the game. If I spent 1000 hours playing loud and 10 hours playing stealth, this doesn't mean I'm a better stealth player than someone with 500 hours of stealth, just because my Infamy number or total number of hours played is higher. The same logic applies to people who play on different difficulty levels. If I spent 500 hours playing and learning Death Sentence loud and stayed Infamy level 1, then how can a player who has 2000 hours and only played Death Wish be better than me, only because they have a higher number of hours or Infamy number? So, let's compare this again. In competitive games, if you want to boost your elo, you are forced to constantly perform better than others, and you earn it the same way as everyone else. In Payday, all you need is just playing the game. It doesn't matter what difficulty you play on, what builds you run, whether you cheat or not, nothing ever matters. Everyone's Infamy is earned differently, and therefore can't be used as an indicator of someone's abilities. As it is now, this system is just a meaningless number, and it will remain a meaningless number, except for the first one, since you get a skill reduction boost from it. Unless you're on console. And the same can be said about the number of hours playing the game. Payday has skills, perks, and lots of other various equipment. In most games, the further you progress, the better your rewards will be. But that's not necessarily the case here. You obviously get more skill points to spend and unlock more things as well. However, more often than not, the stuff you unlock is worse than what you might be using at the moment. What I'm trying to say is that nothing in this game is ordered in any way. If you are a new player, just have fun. Odds are, you might want to Google something like Payday 2 best build, which is alright for stealth, but will only make things worse when it comes to loud. The so-called best builds are meant to be used for Death Sentence, and Death Sentence is basically a different game. What is best there can be nearly useless for you if you play on Overkill or whatever your preferred difficulty is. The best example would probably be Bullseye. While at it, avoid this difficulty as well. All you achieve by doing this is ruining your own experience. Not only that, but I'm also sure your team would not be happy either. Build however you want, play however you want, just don't destroy your own experience by picking unsuitable difficulty levels or focusing too much on copying stuff from guides when there's no need for it. Experimenting in Payday is fun, and this is what I would recommend doing. That's it for today. These aren't tips that will make you a better player, but will significantly improve your online experience and will prevent you from falling into some of the traps that pretty much 90% of new players fall into. If the former thing is what you're looking for, I'm more than sure that a short Google search is more than enough to get you started in this regard. Thanks for watching. As long as you learned something new from this video, then my mission has been accomplished.